I'm at the Nelson and District Seniors Coordinating Society, sitting today with Marion and Brad, who are running our tax volunteer program for low-income people to help them do their taxes. So if you would like to tell us a little bit about your tax program here, how long it's been running, what it's all about, what you do?
The program here has been running, well, I've been doing it for 21 years. It was started before that in a different place, so it's been running for probably 25 years in Nelson. We do it for low-income people, and they have to make an appointment to come in and see us, which is keeping it in control.
We try.
We try, yeah. We have volunteers that help through the actual tax session period, which is from the 1st of March till the end of April, which is wonderful because I don't think we would get through it otherwise. We have so many people.
And those days that people come in to do the volunteers, Brad, are which days?
Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Just to add some more information, low income is defined as individual income less than $35,000.
Okay.
Family income less than $40,000 plus $5,000 for any children. So
okay.
2 children would get you up to $50,000. No rental income, no business income, no investment income over $1,000. So those are those guidelines are given to us by the Community Volunteer Income Tax Program as part of Canada Revenue Agency, and they're guidelines for us. So if you don't quite, we have some flexibility in doing the income taxes around those guidelines, and in some instances we do financial advocacy outside of the income tax program itself.
Okay. So there is a training portion of it for people who want to volunteer through the CRA and also with you actually on site.
Yeah.
And how long have you both been doing this?
Well, Brad came on board, what, 3 years ago?
6.
6? Oh. Gosh.
Flies
6
by.
years ago, yes. And I've been doing it for the actual program 21 years.
Wow.
So.
And how many volunteers would you say have been through this program over the years?
Well, we usually get 8 to 10 volunteers per session, so that's quite a few over the years. Some of them are repeat, as in Brad, and myself, of course, and Dawn, who is my second in command. And we do have new people this year, which is wonderful, because 2 of our volunteers were unable to make it this year. So yes, so if anybody's interested in doing it, it would be very helpful for us.
And Brad, you know, we talked about it, this place is a senior's place, but not everyone who comes to have their taxes done is a senior. It's for anyone with low income.
Very good point. Yes, anybody with low income. A lot of the government programs now, if your support is geared to income, you have to file. You know, the advent of computers, tapes are sent from the Revenue Canada after the end of the tax season and before July 1st, and they adjust things like your GST, but also your guaranteed income supplement, your social benefits from the province of BC, and then any income program, income-related programs with discounts like MSP. You need to file your income tax return, get your notice of assessment, because that's your proof of income for the year, and it allows you to qualify for whatever the supports are.
Right. And what would you say is the most common myth, let's say, that people have when they come in to do their taxes and they think, oh, well, I didn't know such and such. What is?
Well, a lot of them figure if they don't have any income, they don't need to file, but they do because they still get some benefits from that.
Right.
And it keeps the record straight for the CRA and for them as well. So when they do start getting an income, it's not suddenly out of the blue.
Right.
Another thing is you need all your forms.
Yeah.
So in most cases, the government's already had the form from The other
Employer
side of the source, your employer or BC Social Services or OAS and GIS, CPP. So basically we can try and estimate and file a return, and they will correct the amounts that we estimated. Or we do have a special number that allows us to talk to Revenue Canada separate from the public number that is very difficult to get through to, and we can just ask them, and that includes prior years. So we can get in there and bring their filings up to date and make sure they qualify for whatever services are out there.
Okay. And how many people would you say over, let's say, the last few years or last year even, that were using this service here?
Well, for 2017, we had 692 people.
Wow, okay.
I know for 2016, but I can't quote the number exactly, it was over 800.
Wow, okay. So it's really a needed service. So after we talked about how many people access this this great service that's part of our community, how many of them are seniors, and why is it so necessary for so many people to get this service and have help with their taxes?
The amount of seniors is usually half the amount of people that come. It's essential, I think, for the seniors because they get to a point where filling in forms becomes a fearful thing, and it's also a thing that they can't cope with anymore.
Well, it's confusing.
And it's confusing, yes, yeah. So, and even some of the younger ones are the same. And I think it's essential, especially for the street people, because they've come in and they're coming into an environment where nobody's kind of harassing them in any way, and we're just straightforward with them and try to make sure that they get their taxes in every year so they get their benefits.
Yeah. And if we weren't doing their income taxes, their option is one, not to file, in which case, in the case of social services and guaranteed income supplement, they're cut off in October as a result of the sharing of the tapes. At that point in time, then they scramble, but of course it takes months to get the filings done, and usually they've lost their forms by then, so that's important. If the other option, of course, is to go to the H&R Block or one of the tax preparing agencies, which actually have been very good, because if they have somebody that qualifies for our service, they will send them across the street.
That's right, they have.
But that's $80, and there's not $80 to be left on the table.
People often ask when they come in, when they're setting up an appointment with me to see one of you, is how soon after we file the taxes will I see a return if I'm getting one? And I often don't know what to say to that because it seems to vary. What do you tell people?
Well, if it's e-filed,
you mean electronically?
Done electronically, yeah. They usually get a response after 10 to 14 days.
Okay.
If they do paperwork, then it takes roughly 2 months and could be longer depending on the situation of their income tax.
So if people want to make an appointment, they can call us here at 250-352-6008 and book an appointment with one of our volunteers. And we thank you very much indeed for providing this service for so many people in our community and for talking to us today.
Well, thank you.
Cycling Without Age got started in Copenhagen in 2012, and since that time, one person with a great idea has brought it around the world. So it's now in over 40 countries. We purchased our trishaw in December of 2017. It arrived in May of 2018, and we gave our first ride in June of 2018. We operate all on a volunteer basis, so our drivers, there's probably about 20 volunteers at this point, some more active than others, but pretty much everybody gets out once a week giving people rides. We typically tend to ride along the waterfront, and that's because it's flat. The Trishaw is electric powered, but when you're carrying a load of up to 350 pounds, flat routes are best. We also participated with the Mural Festival, so we did take riders through the lanes of downtown Nelson, so that's another possible route too. And we have a trailer, so if people wanted to go along the rail trail up at the top of the town, we can take them there.
We will pick up people at the Lakeview Village, and we'll pick up people with mobility challenge, and then we'll also just cycle through the park and just pick up people and take them from point A to point B. And that's the beauty of this. It is a free service and anybody can participate. And so, you know, we like to have the elderly folks and the people with the mobility challenges. They're sort of our priority. We don't always have clients. So just cycling in the park, just picking up tourists and taking them from point A to point B, it's just a wonderful experience for everybody.
For me, this is just so amazing to be in a community like Nelson and to have something totally free, and where it is just unconditional love and care by those who do this for us. And for me, it means a lot.
I love the freedom of it.
Okay.
Just because I've never really been able to ride a bike like the way that most people do, so this gives me a chance to be on a bike and see things in a whole new way, and you get to stop and say hello to people and dogs. And it's a very transformative experience for someone like me with mobility issues to be able to have freedom of movement and, you know.
Anytime you volunteer, you're giving something to the community. In this case, you get so much out of this. You get to meet people, you get to make somebody's day, and you get some exercise too. Like riding up and down the park is awesome. It is an electric assist bike, but you do a lot of pedaling, and so it's a lot of exercise, and it's great fun.
When we're out and about, we have cards that we pass out to people, and they have our contact information on them. So they can email us, and that email is wendy@cyclingwithoutage.ca, or they can phone us, and the phone number is preferred for people that are trying to get a ride. It's 505-1999. It's a message phone, so a person would leave a message, say, you know, what they were after, and then we get back to them usually within 24 hours.
Hi there, it's Laura from the Seniors Coordinating Society here in Nelson. I'm delighted to have Dr. Trevor Jantz here with me today to discuss dementia. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are a good person to talk to about that.
I've been a family doctor here in Nelson for the last 25 or 30 years, and throughout that time I've been caring for very frail seniors in the last couple of years of their life. I'm the house physician at Jubilee Manor and Mountain Lake Seniors Community for all of the seniors there. And I'm a medical director in interior health for long-term care, palliative care, and end-of-life care, and medical assistance in dying.
Wow, so you are definitely an expert in the subject. So could you tell us what is dementia?
Dementia is a word that we use to describe overall loss of our ability to think and plan and remember and to understand. There are different flavors of dementia. Alzheimer's is the one that comes to mind the most, and it's 50 to 70% of dementia is Alzheimer's disease. And it comes with a gradual loss of short-term memory.
Okay.
Memories of what we ate for lunch this morning, or whether we had lunch, or what we did yesterday, or who we just spoke to on the phone.
Right.
Yeah. There are other flavors of dementia. The next most common is vascular dementia.
Okay.
That's the hardening of the arteries dementia, and it's about 25 to 50% of dementia. They overlap. You can have Alzheimer's and vascular dementia together, and many people do. With vascular dementia, this is the hardening of the arteries that comes with high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, heart attacks, strokes, that kind of stuff. And it tends to come on more abruptly. And there are sudden changes in your function where one day you're having difficulty with walking, or a clumsy right arm, or difficulty finding your words, or difficulty swallowing.
Okay.
And then the symptoms can clear. That's called a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, a baby stroke, where the symptoms clear. or you can have a major stroke, or you can have no stroke symptoms at all, but just have days when you're off or clumsy or have difficulty finding words. And each of these episodes is a tiny infarct, a loss of blood supply to an area in your brain that then dies. And when we look at the CT scans of people with vascular dementia, we see hundreds of tiny little points through their brain where they've had these episodes with or without knowing them, and that gradually leads to the memory loss, the clumsiness, difficulty walking, difficulty talking, difficulty swallowing of vascular dementia.
But Alzheimer's, what are some of the symptoms? What should people be aware of?
Probably the most commonly remembered one is the short-term memory loss. I can't remember where I put my glasses. All of us have experienced that.
Right.
But for people with Alzheimer's, they often can't remember not just what day we are, but what month we are or what year we are.
Okay, so we're not talking about typical age-related forgetfulness or just forgetting an appointment. We're talking about
continually forgetting, and other things too. Difficulty doing really familiar tasks. I've made angel food cake 1,000 times and now I can't make angel food cake. I'm a master knitter who can make beautiful patterns like this, and now I've just thrown the knitting away because it's so frustrating because I can't make sense of the patterns and I'm mixing things up.
Right.
I tried to do a tune-up on the snowblower and I got it all apart, but I couldn't get it back together again, and I've never had that trouble before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Disorientation, not just to time but to place. Getting lost in the shopping mall, getting lost in your own neighborhood. These are significant symptoms.
Right.
Difficulty planning, difficulty remembering, difficulty with language and words, not being able to write, having difficulties signing your own name.
Okay.
Having difficulty understanding directions when people are trying to explain something to you and you just can't make sense of it.
Right.
Misplacing things, really common. To put things where they don't belong. Caregivers say, I found the car keys after searching all day, they were in the sugar bowl. Loss of judgment, especially withdrawal from social activities.
Oh, yes.
When people realize that they can't do things, they become less and less interested in their hobbies, the things that they used to love doing, you can't drag them to it anymore.
Okay.
They're more and more withdrawn, they withdraw from their social contacts, they stay at home, they sit on the couch, they stare at the TV, or
Is
even
that
just
because they feel different, or they feel anxiety about the things that are going on, or what's the start of the social
I should
withdrawal?
be able to do this, but I can't do this. I can't figure it out, so I'm not going to do it. I'm embarrassed to be around people. They're going to notice that I'm not remembering their name or where I am. So people withdraw because they're embarrassed and anxious about failing. And all of these things can happen for all of us. Even this happens to me. I lose my car keys. I couldn't find my daytime. That doesn't mean we've got Alzheimer's disease, but when they're happening again and again and they're interfering with daily function, you're missing more and more appointments and you can't do any of your paperwork and you can't manage your bills and you can't figure out how to find things at the grocery store, or you're getting lost in your own neighborhood, it's time to go see your doctor.
Right. So that's the next thing I was going to say, is it's obvious that, people should see a physician and get some serious advice. And you were speaking earlier before we started filming about misreading signs that could be attributed to other things, such as drug side effects or some of the other things that you were talking about.
Once we notice that we're forgetful, we're always second-guessing ourselves. We're thinking, is this it? Have I got the big dementia? Oh no. But luckily, there are lots of other things that can look like dementia that are not dementia and that can be treated. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this depression? Is this anxiety? Is this over-medication with sleeping pills or tranquilizer medications? Is this too much alcohol? Is this a vitamin or a thyroid problem? Is there another medical condition here, an infection causing delirium? Especially if there's sudden onset of your symptoms, chances are there's something there that we can fix.
Right. And so that's all the time we have for this first part of the series that we're going to do on dementia with Dr. Jans. Thank you very much for all the information. And the next time we're going to speak with him will be about prevention, treatment, and being a caregiver for someone with dementia. So thank you very much. Hi, it's Laura at the Nelson and District Seniors Coordinating Society. I'm sitting with Lee Reed, who has agreed to do a segment of the Scratch the Surface with us, where we get to know her and her interests and a little bit of her history. Thanks for joining us, Lee, very much. And speaking of history, do you know anything about your ancestry, or has anyone around you done one of those DNA tests or anything like that? Do you know any of your background?
I do, Laura. There's a lot of Irish. I actually hired a genealogist in Ulster in Belfast to track the ancestry, but first I went through the Mormon Church here in Nelson, who are excellent. What I knew before I got the specifics of where the ancestors came from in Antrim, County Antrim, was that my great-great-grandfather was a famous American who rose to the top of Standard Oil, now known as Exxon, and brought oil over to Europe and established a refinery in Rouen, France. That might be Normandy, and then ended up as the advisor for the King of Portugal and received a title, the Baron de Patterson.
Oh my
So I come from a long line of Pattersons.
Wow.
Now, the Baron was reputed to have links to the mob. He was incredibly charismatic and unscrupulous. So I come from a line of criminals who rags to riches and then lost it all and disappeared.
Darn it.
Yeah.
We're coming to the part of the segment where we talk about one of your favorite songs. What, do you have something in mind that you like?
Well, there are three
Okay.
that came to mind right off the bat.
Okay.
The first one is Alleluia, sung by Katie Lang.
Okay.
I love the soprano voices. The second one is Conte Partiro, Time to Say Goodbye, with Andrea Bocelli and Sarah Brightman. And what was the third one? It was I'm gapping on that.
It's okay, we can come back to it.
It will probably rise to
No
the
problem.
surface. Yeah.
What are some of the most remarkable changes that you've seen in the landscape around the area?
Well, I'll tell you one that I want to see, which is the renovation of Mount St. Francis into a health and wellness center, an intergenerational education, and co-housing for seniors and youth. So the changes around me, I think the development of John's Walk, because I live out there that way, and I walk out that way, and I remember when it was Kootenay Forest Products, and all scrub and brush, and kind of industry. And wild.
Right.
So we have all these beautiful condos, Silver Bay, Amber Bay, Lakeview Village, The Grain, and John's Walk. And it's very tasteful. There is a sense of a village and community.
Okay.
So that would be a big notice for me.
We were talking about, scratching the surface and getting to know people in our community, which of course brings us to your really nice book here called Growing Home, The Legacy of Kootenay Elders.
Yeah.
And which you self-published.
When I retired from mental health, and I was an addiction specialist, by then I was 65 and wondering what it meant to grow old, and it looked really discouraging and scary. And I did not grow up with great models of aging. It seemed to me everybody died of alcoholism and depression.
Okay.
So I was kind of a self-raised kid. So I decided for retirement I would research aging and try and ask people for help. Help me to learn the wisdom of growing old. Help me to engage or discover the best parts. And the only way to do it for me was to knock on doors and as a total stranger do a research project where I traveled around the area and asked people if they'd be willing to be interviewed about aging, how they managed the challenges, what kept them feeling passionate and creative about life, how they deal with feeling vulnerable and fragile, how they connect with their community when there's such a lot of letting go, and there are a lot of challenges, a lot of sadness, and just disability to aging. But what I saw, what motivated me to write the book, was this resilience and skills people learned with their aging became the new ground of growth. In other words, they were so resourceful, they'd find another way to be creative and reinvent themselves. And there is maybe a boomer mentality. Maybe it doesn't belong to any one generation anymore. And so what I found as I progressed into my aging was, yes, there's far more suffering, to be quite honest. And I wanted to know what that was like for people, how they managed. But it also creates more joy, more ability to really be grateful, to appreciate the people, the small, subtle nuances and connections throughout a day, not to just focus on what's sensational or big news. And so in aging, I really learned to be more present.
We're very grateful that you came and took the time to talk about your creations and your projects and get to know you a little better too. I'm really pleased to learn a little bit more about you, and so thank you so much for coming.
Joy.